So what are we doing today, Vern?
Tom, well, thank you again for being part of this.
Yeah.
Part of what we're trying to do is to help people see what goes on behind the scenes. They just typically see the videos out there, but they don't know what it takes to get to the point where they're viewing it. And so what I want to review right now is just the scripting and the research that goes on for each episode. And we do a lot of research, and I thought we'd use the 4 Lexington and Concord episodes to kind of talk through maybe one at a time as to what our considerations were, what was included, what wasn't included, maybe talk about the characters and some of that. And so...
You mean there's more?
Oh, gosh, yes, there is a little bit more.
Because I thought you were pretty thorough.
Well, you will find out that a lot of the really interesting stuff we didn't have time to put in there. That should come out in some of that here, but...
I'd like to hear it.
Okay, and we'll do that. We'll reveal that. But, we do have certain constraints within each episode. We want to create context, maybe develop tension and ask questions and, oh no, what's going to happen next? And that type of thing. So each one is kind of a story.
Yes,
and it has a bit of a story arc to it and personalities involved, but decisions are being made all through each episode. We want to kind of highlight those decisions and maybe talk about what the consequences would be of those decisions, or maybe not making those decisions. So in the research part of it, sometimes there's conflicting stories.
Really?
So there are 2 or 3 different interpretations of what occurs.
Okay.
Well, such as within these 4 episodes at Lexington, they have a festival every year that commemorates the shot heard around the world because of the shots at Lexington Green. But, 6 miles down the road, Concord has a celebration about the shot that's all over because it was at the Concord Bridge. So there's conflicting stories. And then over the years, the characters that were highlighted, certain phrases or certain very brave statements are attributed to them, which really don't appear at the time with the debriefing that's going on, but they're ascribed later on because Grandpa said thus and such, he heard this. So we have to sift through that and say, well, what is credible? What do we have the most evidence, the different sources? Well, we got 3 sources that all say that. Yeah, but it's all dependent on the same source. So it was really only said one time, so how credible is that? These 3 do not.
Exactly.
Talked about the Boston Massacre, and when John Adams and John Quincy was putting a defense for the soldiers together, they had, 50, 70 different eyewitnesses to the massacre, a mob of 300, and all these people were saying, well, I saw this, and they would interview them. Well, who told you that? Well, my sister told me. Oh, I see. And but you weren't there? No, my sister was. Okay, and she'd never lie. And well, where did you get this? Where did your sister get it? Oh, well, she got it from a friend. Well, how credible is the friend? I don't. So they dismissed a lot of the first-hand testimony that really wasn't first-hand until they got to the factual things there, and then that's what swayed the court and the jury to make a more reasonable judgment there. And so we've run through the same thing, and we have to sort it out. Also, lots of facts that don't contribute to the story arc, so we leave that out. But it's to be context. Men are flawed. They make bad decisions. They make self-serving decisions. And hopefully those things will come at the appropriate times up through the stories we tell. And again, we're using these 4 as an example of what goes on, and that history is much more fascinating than we can tell in our brief time.
Is there any other reason why we're going through all this?
Well, I think we can learn from history. You know, history shows us that men, women are making these types of decisions, and there are consequences of them. And those consequences can either help the cause or detract from the cause. And also, of course, we're on the patriot side, but the loyalist and the British side, they've got some heroes over there. They've got some good people over there.
So, Vern,
Yeah?
why do we even care about the loyalists? We won.
Well, good point, Tom, but you see, they're people, and before this revolution, we were all on the same team. Okay, it's just that we have a difference of opinion based on the years that preceded that. Since 1763 until this point, 1775, that things were going differently during that period of time, with the King and Parliament wanting to have a bigger role over here and tell us what to do, when for 140 years we were able to run our own show. And so now this tension builds, and every time that we talk back, they crank things up. But the people that we interfaced with here, a lot of them had been living with us for a period of time, even served in the French and Indian War, and we served together. So they were people. They had values. They were doing what they thought were right.
That makes sense. So, because they're Americans too, that their side of the history matters as much as the patriot side.
They show loyalty. They show courage. They make decisions. It's family. They just have a disagreement that has come to the point where Lexington and Concord occurred. Before then, there was still reconciliation desirous. Even after Lexington and Concord, there was efforts to reconcile.
So, like Washington, they believed in family, faith, and country also?
That's right.
I don't like that.
It's not easily put together, but I mean, you know, what do we believe, and what do we believe our place is in that belief system? There are those that believed in God, king, and country, and there are those that believed that in America colonies and that they were being oppressed by a tyrannical government. And so something had to give. And as we get into the first episode, we'll get more of an idea of some of what could have heard or happened during that first period of time.
So you're gonna tell us both sides on the Lexington Concord.
I will try to breathe truth into both sides. Yeah.
I like that.
Okay. Let's get started.
All right.